Hi, again, I'm Phillippa. I'm the Chief Exec of Educated Body and Operations Director at RCH Design. So Educated Body is a fitness and wellbeing amenity operator and consultant and gym equipment supplier, primarily in the residential sector as well as in the corporate sector. We've been in business since 2001, originally as Raw Corporate Health Limited, and then we had a brand name change, operating brand name change to Educated Body about 3 years ago. I've worked on many, many projects with many leading developers across the UK. And to the right of the screen, you'll see here just a few of the build-to-rent operators that Stavros, myself, and the rest of the team work with. Stavros, I'll let you introduce yourself, or actually I'll do that for you. I don't think we can hear you. So Stavros is the design director of RCH Design, but he'll talk about himself at the second half of this presentation. So the three topics I'm going to pick up on today are the increased demand for wellbeing facilities in build-to-rent, how you as a build-to-rent operator can maximise your wellbeing engagement, the community, and the commitment to your buildings through wellbeing and fitness. And then we'll look at the fitness and wellbeing trends, what's hot, what's not, what's changed during COVID, and how we see 2021 onwards. Obviously, the most important thing for us as of today is yesterday we got the announcement that the gyms can reopen on the 12th of April, which is great news for our industry and obviously for you in the build-to-rent business. So just a little bit of background here, rapid growth. So both build-to-rent and the fitness industry in 2019, pre-March 2020 saw rapid growth. Some of the stats here from the leisure database in 2019 showed that the fitness industry was at an all-time high. The penetration rate for adult membership to commercial leisure facilities was at 15.6%, the highest it had ever been. It's a £5 billion business and total memberships broke 10 million. Number of site passes exceeded 7,200. So what's quite interesting now with looking at the data that's coming out for 2021, and I've got a few things here that might be of interest to many people on the call today, looking at how people are going to exercise during the next year or so. So from the Public Health England, there's data coming out showing that 70% of adults want to get healthier. So an England-wide survey of 5,000 adults showed 80% of those people over 18 have made a decision already to be healthier and change their lifestyle in 2021. 70% of that number of people that want to change their lifestyle have done it due to the fact of COVID-19 and the illnesses that have been caused by being unhealthy. So without a doubt, there's going to be higher demand for healthy living. So the recovery, getting back into the gym, I think it's important that, many people on this call might feel, I'm not quite sure that people want to do that. As an operator, it's very important to us. Clearly, our business isn't going to work very well if we haven't got any people in our facilities. So I've put down some more stats here to give you a little bit more confidence. So LeisureNet Solutions survey from January 2021 surveyed 33,000 people across 771 commercial facilities. Now, the commercial facilities are important to look at because obviously it's going to lead the way with how the population are going to want to exercise, whether that be in a commercial facility or in the private resi facilities of their own apartment building. So 76% of those gym members questioned said they would return immediately to the gym. They had no problem with going back. A further 21% they would return within 3 months, and only 12% didn't feel confident to return. So I think it's clear that we should see numbers go up quite quickly. I've just put this slide in because I know that you all love a few stats. So again, from LeisureNet Solutions, we're looking at the numbers per age group. So if you look at the bottom, you've got the 15 to 24-year-olds right up to 75 plus. So the left-hand side is your younger age group, the right-hand side being the older, and the middle ones being, well, the second one, your millennials, and your 35 to 44. So you might want to be looking at the orange and the grey for your typical tenant profile. So most people are going to want to use the gym about the same, and many people, particularly in the first 2 generation sectors, looking at actually using it more. So I think, again, we're looking at confidence to come back into the market for people to start to go back to the gym. So what does that mean to us all? It means that there's obviously a clear market opportunity. One thing to note for build to rent and for residential in our world is that without a doubt, we're already aware within the commercial side of the fitness industry, that 50% of membership uptake is likely initially once opening. People do need to be confident, they need to come in, they are gradually then going to want to pay. Within our world, where people are getting it automatically within their rent, we're expecting really high uptake quite quickly. So one thing that's still not known is how many commercial gyms won't actually even be able to open. If we look at the States, the number of companies that have already gone into Chapter 11 is about 20% of the fitness industry. It's quite high. Some of the clubs won't make it, which is very sad. Hopefully a lot will actually be able to recover. So as I said, we're going to look at increased usage on the residential facilities. Our business in last October saw the highest numbers we'd ever seen in any October using the on-site facilities. Confidence was good, very good. Obviously there's lower numbers, which makes a big difference. If you've got a gym of 1,500 square feet, you might only be having, I think I've got an echo, you might only be having about 8 or 10 people in the gym at any one time. So obviously, Dad, have you got your sound off? Can you mute? Thanks. So making sure there's only a few people. If you've only got 8 or 10 or 12 people in the gym, clearly there's going to be more confidence than walking into somewhere there's 100 or 120 people in a large a box style gym in a commercial environment. People also have a say, and if it's your building and you don't feel confident, you can go and talk to somebody. You can say, I'm not quite sure that it feels clean enough, how often are you cleaning it, etc., etc. So there is a sense of more confidence within the buildings, without a doubt. So as a business, we saw things do very, very well by last October when we were actually open. The digital solution embraced the physical and the digital. Now, clearly, during lockdown, digital fitness has gone through the roof for at-home workouts, but it's well and truly within the cardio equipment, within the gyms, within commercial health clubs. And the other thing to look at is they are not only delivering fitness now, well-being, mental health, looking after oneself, not just physically, is super important. There's been a lot of importance, a lot of data, a lot of research put into how much mental health has suffered during the pandemic, and the fact that people can't mix, can't see each other, etc. So changes in consumer behavior in residential fitness. One of the key points to remember for all of us is that there are going to be more people in the buildings more regularly with the work from home initiative. Now, I think pretty much many businesses across the UK are looking at allowing people to work from home as a minimum 1 or 2 days a week. Some people may not return to the office, till later in the year anyway. So the fact you're going to have more people at home during the day is also going to make a big difference to the usage. As I've mentioned before, the digital workouts, and I'll talk at length about digital and the hybridization of the digital and the physical style workouts. Outdoor training, super popular. During parts of last year, we were able to deliver outdoor training when we couldn't deliver much on the inside of the gyms. Really popular. A lot of people are really enjoying it. Large clubs are doing it. They've created spaces to allow people to train outside if they don't feel confident to train inside. We have plenty of classes operating outside within the estates, and I know many of the build-to-rent operators have delivered really great exercise throughout lockdown. Fitness will remain very high, as I've talked about earlier on, but there will be now a demand for quality fitness and well-being in build-to-rent. It is important to make sure you deliver. You don't just put your equipment into the room and let it operate by itself. People need more now. So looking at the market development, as I've talked about, the hybridization of the physical and the digital, it's now called the phygital age. The physical workouts and the digital will stay, integrating meditation and wellness through digital and physical, being able to deliver not just workouts via your digital platform, but looking at what, do you want to run lunch and learn? Do you want to talk about how to cope with mental health, how to increase sleep, how to deal with stress, whatever it might be doing, have your speakers deliver it through your digital platform, not just your exercise. So quite interesting, looking back at 2020, the global wellbeing app product, the top global wellbeing app product was actually the meditation app Calm, and in 4th place was Headspace. So make sure that you do address that. You do have something within your programming that will help people if that's what they're looking for. There was a 46% growth in health and fitness app downloads in Q2. I think I mentioned that in my last presentation in October. And quite interestingly enough, there's 71,000 new health and fitness apps launched in 2020. Not all of them were great. There are some amazing products, but 71,000 is a lot. Return on investment, super important for you. You're investing heavily in your buildings, you're investing heavily in your amenity spaces and the delivery of everything that you'll put on within those amenity spaces. So as we've talked about, your wellbeing facilities and the actual wellbeing programming will come higher up the shopping list for many renters. It's important. There's been a shift. There's been a big shift within the last 12 months. For you, you need to attract and retain your rental tenants, and you need to support the valuation of your built-to-rent asset and the net rental income. Invest in creating your wellbeing community. It's important. And as I've talked about many, many times now, we're looking at trying to deliver the experience. It's important that there is something that you're actually going to give to your tenants. So moving on to design, and I'm only going to touch very briefly on the side of the design that I will always pick up, which is more the operational design, the gym equipment. So take advice, use a specialist, use a consultant, really do try and understand well how your space is going to operate. Typically when we're in meetings, there'll be 4 or 5 people within the meeting from the client side, from your side, and everybody will have a different view. You'll all want something, you know, somebody will be really into Peloton, somebody will be into yoga, somebody else just wants a studio. One thing to note is 76% of group exercise participants are female. So don't go down the zone of just doing group X. You know, be aware that you do need to offer something for everybody. Group X is super important and very popular, but you know, in an ideal world, we don't just do group X, we'll have the physical gym as well. So allow enough space. So for us, typically, if we're looking at, even if it was a 50, 80 unit scheme, 100 unit scheme, we try not to go any smaller than about 1,500 square feet. Even though we might not cram that with gym equipment, but you will at least get the journey and that you'll allow the zones within that space. Obviously, the more units you've got, the bigger the space needs to be, and the bigger each zone needs to be, the more equipment you're going to need for your peak hours. So the typical zones would be your free weight zone, your cardio zone, your functional zone, an area of just floor space for stretch zone, in order to create the actual journey within that space. Now, the customer journey not only starts at the door of the gym or the gym and the studio, it's also going to start from when the client leaves, the customer leaves their apartment, looking at the journey through the building. I'm sure you're all really, really good at your wayfinding, but make sure, you know, sometimes we find somebody's got to go through a back of house corridor to get into the gym. You know, that's a real no-no. Personally, we're not that keen on going through car parks. You know, if you don't have to go through a car park, try and go through the building, or if you have to, do the outside of the building. Customer journey really does make a difference. So poor equipment layout, gym equipment layout, specification and layout. How to choose the equipment that's right for your tenants. It is important that, as I said previously, you do need to have something for everybody. So I know everybody loves HIIT training, and HIIT training is absolutely fantastic. You get great results. It's brilliant to have, but not everybody wants HIIT training. People still like running. They still want to be on the treadmills. They still, you know, somebody that's not very fit may still want the cross trainers, or you know, obviously the bikes. And now we're looking at being able to use the bikes with the Peloton style workouts in, but also understand what can you have and what can't you have. You know, one of the emails that we get most frequently from residents is, oh, I want heavier free weights. You know, we want up to 80 kilo free weights or 50 kilo free weights, or heavier dumbbells, or we want a squat rack. If you have an unmanned gym in your building, you need to understand how that's going to operate. You know, you'll have a responsibility and a duty of care from the insurance perspective and health and safety perspective. Check with your insurers. You know, if there's nobody there to support somebody and help somebody, if they've got too much weight on the bar, you may well come unstuck. So do understand what you can have and what you can't have. These are residential gyms, and unless they're staffed, you're not necessarily going to be able to have the heavy weights. And Stavros is going to pick up a little bit later on in the presentation on the importance of the floor makeup and the importance of vibration, you know, understanding the constraints of your building as well. So size and quality really does matter. So good interior design really does make a difference. Stavros is going to talk about that a little bit more. And the better the wellbeing areas, the busier they are. You know, it is an environment that you want to walk into, you want to like. You don't want to create a lounge that's not going to look great. You know, follow that design story through into your wellness spaces. And of course, ensure the variety. And enhance your engagement through your technology and through your communications. And I know that one of the most common conversations we have is, oh, will your app or will one of the apps be able to integrate with the building app? And sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. But to be honest, does it really need to fit inside your app? You know, this is a completely standalone product for somebody looking at their well-being. From our perspective, not necessarily. What you do need to make sure is that all, you know, if you're going to do your bookings, if you're going to use the app, the bookings need to go through your booking system, unless you're using an operator that's on site, if you've got a pool, etc. So some of the items to look for if you're going to develop, for instance, a 400 unit scheme, you might want to have, obviously you need to work out your gym size. We do have numbers, and we do measure the amount of people that use all our facilities where we have on-site staff. So we do know exactly how they're used. There is a slight variation to commercial facilities on timings. But we do look at how many people will be using it in peak hours, and that's how you'll size your space. We know, you know, how many treadmills are being used at any one time, how many bikes, how many people are in the freeway area, etc. And that's how we actually work out the sizing per development. How many stations are you going to need in that? How much functional space are you going to need? How big is your free weight zone going to be? How heavy are your free weights going to be? Are you going to have any presence of staff weekly, daily, etc.? Are you going to have a group exercise studio? How are you going to deliver your workouts within that studio? Are you going to, how much money are you going to put into the studio? Do you want live classes in the studio taught by people to people in the studio? Is it only going to be virtual? All of these questions would affect the cost, the actual running cost of that facility. Are you going to have a pool? Now, typically in build to rent, the pools are only in the higher end schemes or in the much larger schemes that we work on. Showers, do you need changing rooms? Probably not if it's dry only. People live in the building. If there's a pool, yes. Vitality pools, saunas and steams, all of these things, all of the ancillary spaces, AV rooms, storage, poolside storage, power, everything needs to be taken into account really early on. Market demographic. So clearly, many people in build to rent often talk about the fact that your key market are millennials. But I think from the research we've done with lots of our clients, it's not necessarily always the case. So looking at how these three different generations would actually like to exercise, what they'll be looking for. So if you drill down into looking at millennials, they would typically not want repetitive exercise. They like lots of variety. They like short and intensive and effective workouts like HIIT training. Generation X often want fun performance-based exercise, and they want entertainment, and they want programming. They want to follow stuff. They want information. It's a different way of working. They don't necessarily just want to be beasted in the gym by a young hip personal trainer. And then the baby boomers. The baby boomers have exercised for a very long time because they need to, because of their health. They come at it from a different perspective. That is now going to filter across into all generations. You know, it doesn't matter how old you are, your 20s or 30s. People want to be fit. They want to know they're going to be able to fight disease if they get ill, especially now due to COVID. And as I've talked about, look at the experience. How are you going to deliver the experience as the operator? Understand your people, the human element. What do they want? Talk to them, get feedback, change, be flexible. Look at the experience, look at programming, outsource to companies like ourselves. Do you need programming? Do you need PT? Do you need inductions? Are you going to be running yoga and HIIT training and Pilates or meditation? And I think everybody on this call will be well aware of Peloton. Peloton have done such a brilliant job. I mean, their product is fantastic. If you go onto a live class, you're looking at 40 to 50,000 people on a live class at any one time. It's phenomenal what they've achieved. And obviously the past year have made them very profitable. They've done very, very well. The Peloton style workout actually now is available throughout many different, throughout many different manufacturers. You're looking at everybody trying to integrate programming, workouts within the cardio equipment. It's not just Peloton. Everybody's doing it. So don't worry, we don't all have to go out and buy from Peloton. I think most people will also know now, I think that you'll realize that Peloton bought out Precor. The deal was finalized not very long ago now, which has given them increased manufacturing capacity. And then you'll start to see more digital coming out in more cardio through Precor over the next couple of years. Group workouts are going to be within the machines, as I've already said, within the cardio machines. And through your phygital programming and your phygital solution, you want to make sure that you're keeping in touch in the same way that you keep in touch with your tenants for the apps you use to run your buildings. Do let them know what's going on. It might just be that if they're using their PT, they're actually able to contact the person. Today's your run day. I'm not seeing you till tomorrow. You agreed to do a 6K run. Keep that going. It's important to keep the momentum going. Obviously, the booking of the slots, that's not going anywhere in the short term. So obviously we're opening now next Monday, which is very exciting. Accessing, even in large commercial clubs, you're going to have to book your slots. And in actual fact, we found it very, very popular. People like to know when the quieter times are or when the busier times are. They can work their day around the time they'd like to go and train. Group exercise. I'm going to touch a little bit on group exercise. So the way that you can deliver group exercise in your buildings varies. You've got options. You've got a class taught by a person, taught to live people in the studio. Obviously, as of Monday, we can't open group exercise. We don't open group exercise at the moment until May the 17th, subject to government announcement. But people taught classes is one way. And then you have within the studio, you'll have virtual. So you might have Les Mills or Wexa or Fitness on Demand that will be on the screen with a programmer on the wall. And you might put on programmed virtual group exercise, for instance, a 7 a.m., an 8 a.m., a 9 a.m., a 6 p.m. class, or you can do on demand. So the resident can walk in at 2 in the afternoon and decide they're going to do a spin workout or a yoga class. And then, of course, you have the digital, which is via the apps. So for us on our platform that we use, we provide that free for a period of time, and dependent on which solution we're using, to all our residents that we look after. Or you might have one that you might want to charge us very low amount to £2.99, £3.99, £4.99 a month over time. Swimming pools. Do you have a swimming pool or not? As I said previously, quite often now the build to rent aren't going to put the pools in. It's just the larger schemes or the higher end schemes. We've got a few of our clients who have the pools. But do understand what it's going to cost you to run, what it's going to cost you to build it, how much it's going to cost you in utilities. Can you use sustainable energy in any way? And understand the health and safety around a pool. If you're going to put your pool on the roof and your staffing are all on the ground floor, you're going to need lifeguards on the roof. Very unlikely to get away without it. You need to understand how to actually operate that pool. It can't just sit there without support. It can't sit there without staff. It can't sit there without people to respond. And be very, very careful. Take advice. It's something we do an awful lot of, is health and safety advice around operating swimming pools within residential buildings. Educated Body is quite expert in it. And we operate about 12 pools. So staffing and utility costs. If you are going to staff it, understand how much it's going to cost. And towels, it sounds simple, it sounds easy. Yes, we want towels. Your towel bill could be 20, 30, 40, 50,000 pounds a year before you know it. Laundering towels externally is expensive. The power of using the laundry machines is expensive. So think twice before you design your changing rooms with towels or without towels. Trends. So I think I've talked a lot about digital. For 2021, there's been a big shift, obviously, within the past year. Within our industry and many other industries, I think we're looking at probably 3 years worth of development done in 12 months. And as a business, our plan was at the beginning of lockdown at Educated Body, what we said was we want to emerge out of lockdown and out of the pandemic as having seemed to have done the right thing, both for our clients, our customers, our B2B customers and our residents, and also to do the right thing for our staff and to emerge as a stronger and better business and use the time well. And I think hopefully our clients feel we've supported them, our tenants, our residents feel we've supported them, and our staff, we've maintained most of our staff, retained most of them during lockdown. and for opening, which is great. So hopefully we've done a good thing. The digital age is here. Home gym equipment, I'm sure everybody knows that it actually went up by 1,000%. If anybody was in the business of selling home gym equipment, they've had a very good year if they could actually get any to sell. I know that quite a lot of manufacturers have brought the manufacturing to the UK, so it is a little bit easier to get product. Plus, obviously, shipments are now on their way to the UK much easier than they were during lockdown 1. Outdoor workouts are here to stay, as I talked about again earlier, and the importance of exercise and mental health and well-being. Obviously, the importance of weight control and fitness to fight disease we've also looked at previously. So I think ultimately we're looking at huge growth. You're going to see more people in your fitness facilities. People are going to think twice about where they live. It's really helpful to have it on site. The way people buy fitness as well will be different. You know, are they going to spend £100 a month, £300 a month on boutique fitness immediately? Maybe not. Or they're going to use both. I think most people are going to use both. I know that my daughter living in the US is spending up to $800 a month at SoulCycle. She's moving back to the US. She's like, why on earth would I have spent $800 a month? She now uses the SoulCycle app and the Peloton app for cycling, and is probably going to be spending $200 a month max on actual payments of exercise. And she won't be alone. Many people will look at how they spend. They'll use both the at-home workouts and the boutiques and the residential building facilities. So just my conclusions before I hand over to Stavros. I hope that was of interest. We've got questions at the end, so please do come back with any questions you might have for Educated Body and RCH Design. So healthy living, it's increasing. There's an awareness, which is fantastic. As fitness professionals ourselves, is what we believe in. So to see more people really taking an interest is exciting for us. The fitness and wellbeing technology platforms, choose your platform well, do your research, decide which one you're going to use, and make sure you can deliver not just a booking system, make sure you can deliver more. Get your gym space right, be on trend, be flexible. And one of the most important things really here is, you know, let's make sure that everything is sustainable. Look at the equipment that you're buying, do research on your suppliers. I mean, the suppliers that we work with mainly are very much at the forefront of sustainability, making sure that they're protecting the planet, as well as delivering health and well-being to the customers. Anyway, thank you very much. I will now stop and pass over to Stavros. Thank you. Speak to you.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Phillippa. Hi, I'm Stavros from RCH Design Director. And I'm going to talk to you today and try and unravel some of the mysteries of the interior design process and looking at how this interior design process, interior architecture, enhances the user experience. We're going to be looking at that user experience, some of the key interior design elements, and at the end, just some of the common mistakes to avoid. So one of the first things that's fundamental before we start doing any form of design is to really understand the brand personality of the development of the building. And this assists all of the creative teams in their future thinking, their future work, their future response by having a really key defined brand personality right from the outset. We can then assist in communicating that brand personality to assist in the customer experience, creating touch points, which eventually builds brand equity. And of course, this having a really good defined brand personality will differentiate your offer from your competitors. Once we've got that brand personality and we understand what the proposition is, the positioning, the values of the business, we can then create a set of facilities that represent that brand personality. You know, is there a pool? Is there, how big is the gym? How big are the studios? What supplementary products are there in terms of thermal suites? All of this comes out of that brand personality process and helps us fix a facility mix and ensuring that you know, it's different from what's out there from your competitors, and helps define that personality. And what you've got to keep in mind is, its relevance in the marketplace to that personality. And from the product mix, I know Phillippa touched on this, we need to work out exactly what these product offers sizes are. So from the analysis that Phillippa and her team undertake, we see how big the gym needs to be, how many zones in the gym there are, how many pieces of equipment are required to reflect that offer for the user groups. How big is the studio? All of this comes in to form the individual sizes of each of the offers, and then those combined individual offer sizes create the footprint for the overall wellness amenity spaces that you need to allocate within the building. So we've got the brand personality. We know what products are going in. We know how big and each of those products are. Now we need to work through to position those products in the right place, so that we're really defining this customer journey through the facility, so that you reach each of those products at the given time that we define, so that customer experience and that customer journey is defined. It's great to sort of build in hesitation spaces and meeting hubs, all to develop this sense of community, which is so important. But what's also important, especially in build to rent, is to have a certain amount of flexibility in the spaces, so that you can react to new products, new exercise trends, and keep spaces flexible, so that you're not sort of landlocking individual areas, so that you can open spaces out as required. So the next thing that once we start thinking about things is the operational ease, the long-term appearance of a facility. Designers are often quite remote from maintenance teams, and it's all very good designing a specific feature, but if it can't be maintained easily, then you are going to be affecting the customer experience. And it's fundamental to have a consistent customer experience throughout the life of the facility. We need to be customer focused in terms of safety and operation, but also for staff as well. Correct space planning, space relationships can reduce staffing costs. And also we need to consider staff well-being and make sure that the amenities are suitable for the staff as well. And then we come to, of course, the interior aesthetics, the design aesthetics. And this really now starts to express the personality of the space, really bringing through that brand personality through the selection and the materiality that you use in the scheme. It's really important to create a sense of arrival when you enter into a space, differentiating different zones, different areas, creating impact with specific features. And we do this via different materials, textures, patterns, and lighting features. So some of the key interior design elements that we'd like to build into a scheme. The first one is hesitation and orientation. As we said, when you enter into a space, you need time to adjust to the new environment. How do you move through the space? What's the customer journey through that space? So we'd like to put in transition zones, open areas, so you can get this familiarization as you approach and enter through a space. What's the visual stimulation that's occurring when you enter into the space, the new sights, materials, sounds, smells. And of course, in these days with COVID separation, these hesitation and orientation spaces help us to divide and separate users as required. As Phillippa touched on, the building of a community is fundamental in these spaces, and so that we can use specific design tools to assist in that building of community. Hubs and touch points are really key in generating that sense of togetherness and something that's off the back of people being at home and working out at home. These hubs, touch points are going to be really important for that community aspect. And they assist in all of that meeting and interaction, potentially with staff and with other members. And it doesn't just have to be hard sort of spaces, you know, it can be specific softer spaces, separate massage chair zones, and other softer zones like that. One of the key features in the interior design process, and something that I really enjoy getting involved in, is the lighting scheme. And it's really make or break on the facility on how you create specific mood and atmosphere with the lighting. You need to set the ambient light level, you need to add contrast, you need to add accent to create this overall sort of lighting scheme. And lighting shouldn't be design the space and then add the lighting at the end of the design process. The best lighting schemes come when the lighting is an integrated part of the early design thinking, specific to a scheme. And it's something that we like to call sort of painting with light, to create these really interesting patterns, light patterns and features. And of course, one of the key interior design elements are, again, the materiality, the creating of that personality through the material selection and the aesthetics. The texture and pattern is really key, but not forgetting that, you know, these pieces do take quite a pounding, and the longevity and maintenance is also a real key decision in when choosing the materials themselves. Sustainability and the way that the products are manufactured is an important aspect of all specifications. Getting the right specification for barefoot traffic in wet zones. If you go for a product that is too slip resistant, it can create more maintenance problems in the future. So all of these are elements and decisions that need to be made, not just on the beauty and the aesthetics of the space, but in the long-term use of the space and how easy it is to clean. And a lot more products now are becoming available that are antimicrobial for ease of use for COVID, etc. Another key element, again, really fundamental in wellness and fitness facilities, is the audio-visual side of the scheme and the lighting. Creating dynamic effects for energetic workouts does assist with that perception of the workout, that mood, the energy associated with that workout. But it's not only for, you know, energetic processes. You know, good AV systems, lighting, color changing for the pampering spaces is also really important, and should be part of the scheme. Virtual systems and apps, as Phillippa touched on, are really key. Should be integrated into all of the upcoming schemes. And these lighting systems can create energy and mood. I don't think we need color changing throughout, but it's important to get some kind of color element to the lighting schemes, and which just gives us that energetic aspect. And again, the interactive and the immersive experience in the schemes is just going from strength to strength, as Phillippa touched on. It's great to have the visual experience of virtual training, but also to get direct feedback with all of the fit tech that's available, the wearable technology. Getting performance metrics is really key now on how you're performing. And you know, where people have been working out at home and have their online workouts, you know, we're designing in now into these spaces and the gyms virtual fitness pods, so they can be bringing that workout back into the gym environment, so they can continue that process, but within the community-centric space of the gym itself. And of course, there's unlimited resources out there for these apps and immersive fitness experiences. And also, you know, music and aroma shouldn't be forgotten. These are key little devices that can express your brand. You know, the type of music that you play, very key in expressing what your brand personality is, and really giving an immersive experience with scent as well. And there are even scent marketing strategies out there as well at the moment. And something that is here to stay as well is trying to design spaces that have limited contact with surfaces. So lockers now have integrated locks that can be controlled by apps from your phone. Door entry systems and access systems are controlled from your app and then linked back through the membership software packages. And you know, sanitizing stations are here to stay. That's not going away. Well, they'll be built in and designed into all sort of wellness facilities of the future. So some of the key things to avoid, some of the mistakes that are out there. Acoustics, number one enemy in all gym designs. Real key element to get right within your space. First of all, you need to consider the building design and where the location of the equipment is, where you position the treadmills, where you position the free weights. This is obviously an initial, in the design process, a real key element to making sure that you mitigate against acoustic issues. It's not just the gym spaces. Studios can be noisy as well, especially if they're set up as sort of HIIT training studios with some functional equipment. Just got to be prepared to, it's not just the residents who need to be protected from the noise penetration, but you know, the users in the spaces as well need a great ambient noise level as well, without hearing of the clunking of weights in the space. Don't forget the wet zones which are full of hard materials. Getting the acoustics right is really key. And integrating these acoustic design elements right into the design from the outset. Maybe thick rubber flooring can be designed into the screed and the floor slab to mitigate the step up. Having specific ceiling panels that are part of the design but are acoustic panels. All of this needs to come out of in the design process from early thinking. And of course, you need to use an acoustic engineer, which is key. Another issue that we come across quite often is poor lighting. You know, flat, bright white lighting that doesn't have any contrast. It just kills spaces. As I said, you know, lighting should be integrated right from the beginning. One of the first design elements of how you light a space, and making sure that you get color, temperature, and color rendering right, instead of having lots of different color, temperature fittings looking odd in a space, and getting the color, temperature right, which renders the tone of the skin correctly. All key aspects in lighting design, and we often see this is not done properly. In the space planning, one of the common things that we sort of see and inherit quite a lot are poorly spaced changing room layouts, poorly space planned changing rooms, where we have wet and dry traffic crossover. You know, you need to keep and try and minimize the wet and dry traffic crossover. You know, keep WCs at the entrance into the changing room and not at the back of the changing room, and certainly not mixed in with the shower block. Try and separate these at all times. And again, just having good space planning right from the offset will will enhance the consumer experience, and limit the potential problems of maintenance and floor issues further down the line. The wrong materials in the wrong place, really key. Getting this right in the wet zones and in the gyms, making sure you have the right slip rating, making sure that you know, the floor screeds are protected so that in free weight zones, so that we are not damaging the subfloor, And, you know, gym users tend to use whatever service they see is available for leaning up against, on, stretching on. So it's all got to be the right sort of surface, the right sort of materiality for the right area. Lack of storage is another key element, often an afterthought in the process. It just assists with the whole operation of the facilities. Towels are a major issue. How do you deal with towels in terms of towel display, towel distribution, dirty towel storage, clean towel storage? All of these are key elements on the storage strategy. And also now COVID, PPE storage, hand sanitizer storage. How do you have easy access to all of this so that this can all be kept up to speed in terms of the operation? And we now come to, you know, the poor M&E design. We see this again a lot in spaces where we don't have enough air changes for the number of people that are using a facility, not enough air conditioning, no air conditioning in changing spaces, really fundamental for the user experience. Small power, you know, how are you dealing with all of the equipment now that needs power, data, potentially even coax connections? Plug sockets may not be a standard socket. There may be extra large sockets for different transformers. All of this needs to be thought about and built in, and does create an issue further down the line if not considered from the outset. So that's my piece this morning. I'm going to stop sharing now and we're open for any questions.
Hi, so we don't seem to have any questions. Did we answer everything on the, hang on? Did we answer everything during the presentation? I know there was quite a lot of information in there, but obviously the presentation will be available. Our email addresses are on there. If you do have any more questions, please feel free, just drop us a line. Oh, here we go. We have something here. Yes, I believe the video will be available. Emma, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe you'll put the video onto the website, so there will actually be, it will be available for people to actually see at a later date. Emma, am I right in thinking that?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Oh, thanks. So that was for Richard Hancock. And Sebastian, how do you advise clients in regards to the staff area, back of house space for a gym, record, spa prep? It's specific per job. So that is something that I would be picking up. So obviously, if you're going to have a couple of treatment rooms, you do need to be able to hold your information on the clients. A lot of information is now held online. We do hold less paper. That would be data protected. So you do need to look carefully. If you've got external people coming in and it's data protected, you'd have to look at process around that. And you have to make sure that they can actually get access to being able to get to the data protected information. There have been occasions where we've found situations like that, where there's no proper spa staff on site and they'll turn up and the building operator doesn't know where the documents are. So yeah, you do need to think that through carefully. Amy, what are your thoughts for saunas and steam rooms? Saunas and steam rooms have been very, very popular, really popular. Obviously, during COVID, we actually, as a business, we haven't opened our saunas and steams at all. There was a brief moment when you could open them, and at the moment, they don't open until May the 17th. I think our view as a business was, particularly in the residential buildings, they were enclosed spaces. We couldn't control the numbers in specific spaces because we couldn't do a booking system for the steam room or for the sauna. It would just be a bit ridiculous. That we didn't actually open them, but they are very popular. So we do, so as a business, we measure the amount of people in each area when we're operating. So if the design of your wet area, so your wet, let's say wet spa, so vitality pool, sauna steam, any other heat cabins you might have, infrared, cold, plunge pool, etc., what you might have, if those are designed well, they're used hugely. So we have one particular build-to-sell building on Albert Embankment where that area is the busiest area of all against the pool and the gym. It's so beautiful. There's lots of relaxed space. It's lovely. It's set away from the pool. So the actual feel of using the spa works really, really well. So if you get it right, I think it works well. Even poolside saunas and steams are used well. I hope that answered your question, Amy.
Phillippa, do you want to answer on health statements and PARQs?
Where's that? Oh, hang on. Do I need to scroll? Yeah, that might help. Yeah, of course. Health commitment statement, definitely you need it. We use that online. You should display it where you can. Our lawyers do, the health commitment statement is more of an industry standard health commitment statement. Now it is more usual to use that over a PARQ. The PARQ, you need somebody that really knows what they're doing to look at the PARQ. So if you're going to do inductions, our insurance advise us to do the physical induction as well as having a health commitment statement or a PARQ. I think we have 2 sites left with the PARQ, which are just about to update to a health commitment statement. There is a revised health commitment statement that's just about to be released by UK Active. So if anybody is using it, the UK Active is the company, governing body for the health and fitness industry, which is the health commitment statement that we use, which we do pay for. It is industry standard to move towards health commitment statement over a PARQ. PARQ leaves room for error. If the trainer doesn't read it and see that there's actually a risk factor or more than one risk factor, and that they actually either need a referral from a GP or shouldn't be exercising at this time, you're open for problems. So I'd go with the health commitment statement.
Hi, Fleur. In terms of materials for design trends and materials, there's some amazing new textures in terms of patterned and textured tiles that are out there at the moment, concrete effect tiles in these amazing shapes and patterns, which is really, really interesting. But what we're always looking out for are new types of rubber flooring, so that we can try and differentiate these gyms that don't just look like black rubber floor everywhere. That's the sort of the required element in to protect the floors. And there's some new interesting products out there where you can have lots of different colors, different finishes on top of these rubber floors to create a better look and feel for these protected areas.
David, hi, nice to hear from you. Equipment for liability purposes. If you're going to have really heavy weights, the main thing is that somebody is around. So heavy weights in a residential building are generally not in position anyway. I mean, if you're in a basement and you haven't got, apartments above, etc., you're going to be in a better position. But as Stavros would be well aware, the makeup of that floor in a residential building typically isn't going to be designed particularly for 100 kilos plus being dropped on it. You need staff local to where you are to be able to help in case of incident, really. But again, each job is going to be different, and each insurance company will have different requirements. I think it's really important that the build to rent operator checks their insurance. I do know that a lot of the times, if you're not using a consultant, like a fitness industry consultant operator like us or others, there's others around, if you go direct to an equipment manufacturer, a lot of the equipment manufacturers are not used to working within the residential sector in this country, and they'll just do what you would do in a commercial gym. I would be aware, be careful that you've got somebody on your team that knows what you're doing. Gym insurance, well, as a gym and spa consultant, gym equipment supplier and operator, we obviously have specific insurance. So I'm not an insurance expert, I'm afraid, on that one. I know that obviously our broker works in our industry, and I know our insurance is quite expensive, as I'm sure all of your insurance is too within your buildings. Yeah, I mean, what we have is specialist. It is specialist for our areas. Again, it will be dependent on your broker and your insurance company, and it's important. I know that I've just updated some of our policies, and then the insurance forms are getting more complicated, as I'm sure everybody else is aware at the moment as well. But there are more questions being asked, so it is important to make sure you've got it right. Very interesting questions. Lots of people know what they're doing. Need the answers to the more intricate things. Does anybody else have anything else you'd like to ask us? As I said, the slides will be available, our contact details there. So if you do, just drop Stavros or myself an email, and we will by all means get back to you as quick as we can.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody. I hope that was helpful. And hopefully you'll all be getting your gyms open. Do look at the guidance that's out from UK Active and from the UK government website. Things aren't going to change. They'll be going back to more or less what we were doing before, but there will probably be a few nuances around changes in guidance. So it's important to keep on top of it, as with all spaces. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.